This CD contains the opinions and thoughts of certain independent sales directors. The information shared with you by these individuals are their own ideas and strategies regarding the cultivation of a successful independent Mary Kay business. The independent sales directors hope that you find something in this CD to inspire you and to help you succeed in your own independent Mary Kay business. Naturally, your personal results may vary depending on the time and effort you choose to invest in your Mary Kay business. As with any business opportunity, various factors may affect the financial results that are achieved in your Mary Kay business. Therefore, there are no guarantees regarding same.
Sometimes you simply have to give something up in order to go up on the career path. Sometimes you just need a good, solid plan and discipline to stick to it. But you always have to remember who you are and what direction you are going, and avoid anyone who may get in your way. You're probably wondering how to go about accomplishing these things, and the answer is easy. Just listen. In her witty yet powerful way, Independent Elite Executive Senior Sales Director Julie Weaver shares with you how to simplify your business by simplifying your plan and getting more than you ever dreamed of in the process.
Well, today's class is on Give It Up for Success. What you need to give up to go up. And I really want to talk to you from the heart today. That I believe God's been working on something for me for a year. I've kind of been out to lunch the last year in my Mary Kay business, just different things, and wasn't real focused this year. And the one thing I kept coming back to in my quiet time with the Lord was simplify. And so I want you to write this down the paper this way, because I'm going to do an acrostic. Do you know what I'm saying? I want you to put simply the best. God talks a lot about, in His Word, single-mindedness, meditating on what's true, what's noble, what's right, what's praiseworthy. And so I want to give you an acrostic that has meant a lot to me, and I'm going to talk to you about today. Number 1, S, single. I, intense. M, meditation. P, practiced daily. L, leads. Y, you, too, and then you can finish the sentence, the best. Single, intense meditation, practice daily, leads you to the best. So I want to help you today to simplify. How many of you all are already figuring out, since you debuted, that the people you got here with are not necessarily the people you're going to go up with? Okay, good. How many of you have already figured out that as soon as you stepped in the suit, you immediately became confused on what you needed to do? Good. Well, I want to help you simplify, because a confused mind does nothing. We all know that. And I want to help you clear the plate, because the more you get on your plate, the more you have to get off your plate to be successful. You've got to discipline yourself to work, or you'll always work for someone who will discipline you. My offspring came up to me this morning and I said, "Are your classes good?" And she said, "Yes, but I'm thinking, should I go home and change things?" I said, when you come to seminar without your goals firmly fixed in your head, knowing exactly what you want to do, it is dangerous ground, because you come to seminar looking for a secret. You go home confused. It takes you a month to recover, and then you are no further along than you were before you came. You need to simplify your mind, simplify your life. You need to set a goal. And now I'm going to talk to you. I want you to write this down on your paper. You are a whole person. You are not just Mary Kay. Mary Kay is not my life. Mary Kay has allowed me to create a lifestyle. Okay? I don't eat, breathe, sleep Mary Kay. Though we have done 1 million and will continue to do 1 million, tonight we won't be celebrated in the 1 million. That's okay. Sometimes the numbers don't reflect who you are. It just reflects what you did. But you are a whole person, so you need to set goals in 5 specific areas, in my opinion. Number 1, set a goal spiritually. You got to put the big rocks in first. And He is my rock, and I have to set that goal first. How much quiet time do I want with the Lord? How do I want to increase my relationship with Him? Because it is amazing to me in America today that we are even baffled by the number of divorces. We get married to a man who is completely our opposite, and then we spend our entire married life trying to make him like we are. Right? And so the only way that you're going to increase a relationship with somebody is to spend time with them, to get to know them. And it is the same thing with my Lord. I have to spend time with him. I have to have a proactive plan to get to know him. Because the more I know him, the more I hear him. The more I hear him, the more sure I am that I'm on the right path. And there's no confusion of, is that from the Lord or was that just pizza late last night? You know, I mean, okay. Secondly, your personal goal. I'll just tell you that on my affirmation tape, I am a slim, trim, healthy, lean, 135-pound, size 8, $2 million director. Okay. Third, financially. What's your financial goal? You know, money doesn't buy happiness, but it certainly buys choices. I'm a woman who likes lots of choices. I think it's healthy, I think it's right, and I think it's wise to set a good financial goal. In my opinion, debt is the noose that Satan uses to suck the joy right out of life. I can tell you, even as a top director, I was in a lot of debt just by unhealthy choices that I had made. Probably 8 years ago, the company had, maybe longer than that, they had Susie Ormond at Leadership Conference talking to us about debt and becoming free of debt. I was so convicted by what she said. I came back to my room as a top director and cried and knew I needed to get my financial house in order. Now, there's some of you sitting in this suit, and I just want you to know, I know you are in debt up to your absolutely roots of your hair. Okay, I'd say eyeballs, but it's beyond that. You maybe put more on an order than what you had sold because you were trying to meet a goal and you were trying to finish. But you guys, where you are now does not mean you have to stay there. It is only a circumstance. It is not who you are. Don't let it reflect who you are. Debt is just a situation. It's not a character trait. But once I became convicted of what I needed to change, and I took control by changing how I was living my lifestyle, no longer on plastic. And I mean, to tell you how bad it was, we put away the card, and my husband and I would have to call each other and go, the debit card was denied. Can you come up to Thornton's and like give me some cash because I can't pay for my gas? I mean, that's how bad, you know, because we had become so accustomed to living by plastic, we didn't even know we were living beyond our means. Does that make sense? Sometimes you're in a bad habit and don't even know it. We paid off $22,000 in credit card debt, a car, an RV. We have now built a 5,500 square foot home, and we are completely debt-free. And we've lived that way for several years, and it's the only way to live. So a financial goal. 4 is family goal. I have found that women will work harder for somebody else than we will for ourselves. How many of you all would agree with me on that statement? You know, I will go to hell and back for my children. But how come it is we'll let somebody just like throw up all over us and we just go, well, you know, I probably deserve that. Or we say, you know, I'm sure I did something to set her off. What is that? And we will give up on our goal, but we'll push so hard for our family. So you need to set a family goal. And last is a career goal. I would come to seminar, and I'd want to be in the National Queen's Court of Recruiting, and I want to double my unit size, and I'd want to be in the National Queen's Court of Sales, and I'd want to be in the, you know, $500,000 club, and I'd want a trip, and I'd want a diamond ring, and I'd want the luncheon, and I'd want to do the bonus. And I had a novel of goals that I was going for. Now see, that's what's happening to some of you all. You've got so many goals. End result, you want to be on the stage. You want to be in $500,000 or whatever the end result is. Problem is you're going after this promotion, this contest. Oh, now the company's got this going. And oh, I want to get this. And do you see how when you keep going back and forth, guess which way I'm not going? Exactly. You're not going forward. You need to simplify. Here's what I do know. 17 years of working as a director. When you set one goal in Mary Kay, it can be linked to every goal I just told you. Spiritual, personal, financial, family. You have got to figure out the one goal that'll get it all to you. Does that make sense? Personal goal. If I'm going to go after this goal that makes me a little nauseous, I best have more energy and more stamina. Therefore, I need to set up an exercise program. Cut down on the carbs, whatever it may be. Snacking between meals. Who has time? You're on a goal. You're on a mission. If I set this goal that makes me a little bit nauseous, I am going to be able to have the income to take my family on an all-expense-paid vacation. And that affects the family goal. And I'm going to be able to pay off debt or buy my husband a car or a home. Do you see what I mean? Every area of your life can be linked to one specific goal in Mary Kay if you can figure out what that goal is. Now, here's what I also know. When I was going for directorship seemed so elusive to me because it required 30 people. They all had to be active. And, you know, have you all found that people they could sit there and tell you an out-and-out lie and not even blink? Have you noticed that? I'm going to do thus and so, and you, just like a rookie, oh, great. And you are so excited because you found your next hotshot. She didn't even bother to show up for the next 3 meetings, and what are you doing? That is my next hotshot. I don't understand. Something tragic must have happened. Girl, she's sitting home and watching Friends, okay? She has not even thought about coming, but it sounded good. And so I got tired of my goal being in the hands of other people. And so what I did was I set a goal for National Queen's Court of Recruiting because I am just that much of a control freak. I knew I could control me and what I said I would do. When I said I'd show up, by golly, I'll show up. If I said I'd do it, I'd die trying. It would not be because of my lack of activity. So I went out, I interviewed, I could control only me. Guess what happened in the process? I earned a car, I became a director, and it was the foundation for $1 million unit. But see, it was one goal. Guess what else happened? I earned the luncheon. I was a star consultant. My sales did shoot up because if you're going to find recruits, you best be out in the field sharing the product. Am I right? But see, that one goal, you had to simplify. I wanted all the rest, but I had to find one goal in Mary Kay that would lead it all to me. It's like I tell my daughters, I have a 19-year-old and an 18-year-old, and I have a 12-year-old son. And they're gorgeous. I mean, I'll just tell you that right now. They are beautiful. And I've told my girls when they started dating, your boundaries best be set before you go on your first date. Because if they're not, when you get in the heat of emotion, baby, all reasoning goes out the window. And so the boundary has got to be set with you. Okay? Right now, you need to know what is your single goal that you're going to go after. We don't come to events to figure out the secret. We don't come to events to compare. We don't come to events to find out the latest promotion that's working for somebody who went from 2 to 200, and you just know that's going to work for you too. Here's the deal. When you stick with one single goal and you singly, intense meditation practiced daily leads to the best. Single-mindedness. Focus on one goal. Do not waver from the left nor the right. Steady on your course. Am I saying that you don't take any idea and use it? No, not at all. Those ideas may be to just polish your plan. Those ideas may be to tweak what you're doing, a different spin on it. It does not change where you're going or your focus. Does that make sense? Link them together to one goal, and again, share them with your family. Now let me just quickly give you an example. Let's just say you've told your husband you were going to do something before. Now I know this has never happened to you all, but let's just say, and he's got all excited, and you said, I've got to have your support. You know, I just need your support. If I'm going to do this, I need your support. He says, okay. He tries to give it to you, and you fell off the wagon. You go to the next conference, and you all are all excited. You've been renewed of the mind. You're excited. You come home, and you lay out the groundwork again. Honey, I've got to have your support. I'm going to do thus and so, and if I had your support, I could do it. He says, okay, and you fell off the wagon. Next time you come home from the next seminar and you say, honey, I have Thank you, Jesus. I have been found. I know what I'm doing. I have got to have your support. And he says, right. And we get all huffy, do we not? Well, if you were more supportive, I could do it. You guys, you have to earn the right to be supported. And there's some of you that are on borrowed time. Do not get all wigged out when your team members, when your unit, when your children, when your husband are not as excited as you are about the revelation you received at seminar. You see, you have to make the change. They have to see the change before they believe the change. So sometimes your closest people who love you the most are the last to believe. Give them reason to believe. Stick with the plan. Don't share your goal with a lot of people. Meaning, don't just lay out your heart there for people to trample on. You cannot expect a 2x4 mind to embrace an 11 by whatever dream. They're not capable of it. So don't expect their support before you get excited. So, okay, number 1, you set the goal, you link it up. 2, you simplify. What do you need to get rid of? Anything that does not book, sell, or recruit can be delegated, simply put. If it is not adding, it is taking away. Energy spent one place will take energy away from something else. Be very cautious as to what you invest your energy in. How many of you all, and I need to kind of get the feel for the room, how many of you all have small children still? Okay. So you're still kind of feel like you're in a balancing act. How many of you feel like, even if you don't have small children, feel like you got a little out of whack during DIQ? Okay, good. If those of you, your hands aren't raised, you either are eluding yourself or you really are the woman, and I applaud you. Balance of time is not set on a daily basis, okay? If you were to come visit my home on any Monday, you would think, that woman eats, breathes, and sleeps Mary Kay. She doesn't spend any time with her family. If you were to come to my home on a Friday, you would think, how in the world does she ever do anything in Mary Kay? Because she doesn't do any Mary Kay. You see, balance is not a day-to-day thing. It's an overall thing. It's harmony. It is, do you give as much effort and energy to your family as you do to your Mary Kay career? Are they in balance? It is God first, family second, and Mary Kay third. Not 33rd, but third. And so it does need to be in balance, and it does need to be in that order. So put the big rocks in first. The very first thing that I do every single year is to get a new calendar. I feel like a child going to school getting a brand new box of crayons. I love getting a new calendar because it's kind of like somebody erased my past and I get to start over. I get the calendar, and the first thing that I do is to get a year-long school calendar. And so my children are involved in every sport known to man or woman, and I plug in all that because, it is important for me to be there at the music festivals and, to sports banquets. I'm not sitting here being a passerby. I need to know what's going on first. And then other family members, what do you have going on? What is important to you? I asked my daughter, she just got engaged 2 weeks ago at Disney World at Magic Kingdom. They delivered her ring in a glass slipper. I know. My mama's heart was pounding. And so we're talking about the wedding day, and she said, I was thinking June. I said, do you love me? Don't do June, please. July's good. I need to know that a year in advance because there's preparation. There's things I want to be there. I really would like to be there for the wedding. So you need to get the big rocks in first. Then look at your schedule. And here's the deal. You need to run the Mary Kay business. It does not run you. There are some of you out there that are already starting to feel a little resentful. Are you feeling just a tad bit resentful? Because they always call when it's this 9 o'clock and I've told her all day, and why does she have to wait to call me back then? And it's my family time, and now I got to do a debut on Saturday. Anybody getting those little stressy outy feelings? Good. You see, that's your own fault. You get to choose your schedule. Are y'all excited about that? You get to design your schedule. didn't you, when you worked for somebody else, always think, well, I wish I was the one who did the schedule. Yeah, he lets himself off every holiday, and here I am working. You get to design it. So why are you plugging yourself in to days and times you don't want to do? You can be $1 million director and not work 24/7. I'm here to tell you. Now, my husband back there lays the law down. And here it is. He likes me. And he likes me to be around. And he likes for me to be not doing Mary Kay at specific times. And so when I would work in the office, our bedroom's kind of above it. And so I'd hear this. That was to call home. You do sometimes need somebody to hold you accountable because we love what we do we not? And sometimes you can be down there and you'll say, I'll be up just a minute. 2 hours later, and you slink into bed, you try to pull the covers up. I know. You do need to figure out what you need to get rid of. You know, there are things that we do as women. One of my offsprings, for example, we call her June Cleaver. She's just like the best mom. But she was volunteering her life away, and she wasn't figuring out why Mary Kay wasn't progressing. And so we looked at what she did one day, and I said, Kathy, is being a room mother really increasing your relationship with your daughter? Or is it something you do out of secret pride to look like the mother of the year? So I'm going to ask you some tough questions. You need to look at your life and you need to decide, are you doing some things, because we're women and we do that. We care what other people think. Do we need to get rid of and purge some things that we're doing out of pride, secret pride, because we want other people to think we've got it all together? That we're the mom of the year, that we're the wife of the year, that we are the spiritual woman leader in our church of the year? You know, sometimes by saying no to one area, you say yes to a lot more. There were a couple of years that I did say no to volunteering in our church because you give and you give and you give and you give and you give, and we're in a business that demands a lot emotionally, that I just needed to take a step back and I needed to have my cup filled. Because it's the same thing in your unit. 20% of your unit does 80% of your work. 20% of the church does 80% of the volunteering. And once you're on the volunteer list, it's like you never get off of it. And so I did have to step back. But by doing that, you know, I was ready to come back and I was ready to volunteer again. And I found an area that I enjoyed even more volunteering because it was right up my need. I'm the greeter at a church that seats 18,000 people a weekend. You know, and people come in, I just saw you at a guest night. Go figure, you know, whatever. I mean, it's just funny that people don't associate, you know, Mary Kay top directors there greeting and meeting at the front door. You know, you find areas that are best suited for you. Do you know what I mean? It's just, you need to know what to simplify. Right now, some things may need to get off your plate. You may need to clear out so that you can clarify and focus. Third, strategize, break it down. I'm going to give you a couple of time tips that I have used. Number one, you make your 6 most important things to do list. I could not live without a list. And I always say growing up, now my mother's a national sales director, so I grew up in Mary Kay. She is now an emeritus. She retired in January. I grew up with a list. I hated lists. I absolutely detested lists. But here's what I learned. If you want to get anything done, you got to make a list. I have never been able to quite master the function of it being 6. It's a novel, you know, that I make a list. But here's what I have found. A couple things that may help you as much as they've helped me. Number one, I always make my list at night, never in the morning. Why? My offspring can answer this. Because you're more grandiose at night. See, every night I'm going to get up and run 5 miles. I'm going to eat no carbs. I'm going to look slamming. I'm going to get up an extra hour early and do my devotion. Tomorrow, I have a hangnail, I'm bloated, and it's all history. Right? I never make my list in the morning. So make your list at night when you're grandiose, okay? When you know you're going to conquer the world. And then when you make your list, here's what I do. I make a list in a spiral notebook. I date it, and I keep my list in there. Typically, it takes me 3 months to go through a spiral notebook. But here's what I found by doing that one little trick. I can see where my pattern of creative avoidance is. When something's been on my list for 3 weeks and I have not yet done it, we have to have a little talk. Julie, are you going to do this? Or are you just fooling yourself? Is it on that list because it looks pretty, or does it really need to be done? Are you going to pay somebody? Why don't you just give the lead to somebody else if you're never going to call the girl, you know? And so I just have to have a little chat with myself, and that's why that list is all in one book, and then I file it. Do you know how many recruits I have found in previous notebooks? Okay, you go back to them, they slip through the crack. When you get a lot on your plate, you have to get a lot off your plate. So file that notebook, start a new one. But that notebook, the only thing that goes in that notebook is my list of things to do, and here's the second one, never rearrange your day for somebody else's priorities. For example, you have this allotted hour of time that you're going to be proactive, and you're going to do your power hour, and you're going to make so many phone calls, and you're going to book, and you're going to follow up with prospects, except the second phone call out is your hotshot and she's considering sending product back. You stop your day, you handle that phone call, and you are toast for the rest of the afternoon. You just rearranged your day for somebody else's priorities. Little things. Mom, I forgot my lunch money. I don't go back to school for lunch money. I figure they're innovative enough and we feed them well at home that they could skip a lunch or two and it will not kill them. My son is very innovative. He will be something famous one day, I'll just tell you right now. He borrowed one food item from each child around him and had a great, well-nutritious lunch. Whatever works. You do not have to rearrange your day for other people's priorities. That is called being reactive. So what I do is all day long, as people call into me, issues, events, dramas, I write them down, margins. So you'll see my list today, this date, and I'll have written over here, call so-and-so back having meltdown. Call this girl back, she needs a packet. Her CD didn't work, blah, blah, blah. You're writing all day long on that list. Tonight, when I sit down to make my list, I will create it from everything that has come into me today. I will not stop my dream, my direction, my focus for someone else's. See what I mean? We think because we're in the suit that we have to be the beck and call at everybody, and that is not true. Because if you are, they'll never want your suit because they know that Mary Kay's running you and not you running it. Let me ask you this real quick. How many of you all could imagine an all-star team, basketball team, let's just say, all-star team, and it has some pretty good players on it, and the one team member on it is Michael Jordan. Now, I think he's proven himself. Michael Jordan is the key player. Now, how many of you could imagine it going up against another all-star team and making Michael Jordan sit on the bench? Do you even think that you could plan on winning? Guess what? You have a team of 30, and they're an all-star team. They're pretty okay. But you have one person on that team that's your superstar, and she's sitting right where you are right now. She's in a suit, and she's name is Michelle Jordan, a.k.a. you. Why would you leave her on the bench? Just because you're in the suit, don't take the all-star player out of the game. You are the all-star. And yet you want your unit to do it? Here's what I found. When I'm in motion, I don't get emotional about other people's problems. You see, it's hard for them to convince you that nobody's booking if you're out booking. And it's hard for them to convince you that nobody's selling and nobody wants to buy Mary Kay if you've just had a $1,000 week. And it's hard for them to convince you that nobody wants to recruit when you just landed one. My mother used to say to me when I was having a meltdown, Julie, there's nothing that you are going through right now that a skincare class or new recruit wouldn't fix. Amen? You get one, do you not drive home? Pink Cadillac, driving down the street, right? You feel like you could conquer the world. But if you sit home and you listen to those 30 wimp and why, and here's a good one. I need more training. I got to have more training. I can't get out there because I'm not trained. Do y'all hear that? So you set up a training class to show They weren't even the ones that were whining. Right? Do not dictate what you do based on people. This is not a democracy. It is not up for vote. I decide where I'm going. I would love to show you how to get there. But you better put your running shoes on because I'm fast. I want you to come with me. Best training class? Book a class, take her with you. She'll get sick and tired of seeing you make money, and she'll book one. Just simply put. I do not believe that you have to set up this whole agenda according to your unit. If your unit were paying the bills, okay, maybe. But how many of you all that your unit is pulling the production and you're just sitting back going, that is awesome. Y'all are too good. I am so humbled and honored to be your leader. I mean, you know that's not happening. So don't take yourself out of the field. Time. Lay out your stuff the night before. You know, it's like you were taught to do when you were a little kid in school. You cannot afford the luxury of a negative thought. Those negative thoughts happen when you're idle. Once you have determined your goal, you've decided on a plan, you guys, it is not enough to stop there. It is so important that you visualize and affirm. Whatever you see continually, whatever you hear continually, you will produce. You don't even need to know how that works, but it does. God says, as a man thinketh, so is he. So I'm just going to ask you this. Is your goal posters up? Do you have them firmly set wherever you spent a lot of time? Your bathroom mirror, your sun visor, your refrigerator, your date book, your checkbook, wherever you are a lot, put your goals there. Secondly, have you written down your affirmations? I had lied to myself so many times saying I was going to do something and not do it, that my own words did not hold weight with me anymore. But God's word had never let me down, so I tied all my affirmations to his promises. I create my own music tapes. They have my affirmations on them, because even when I'm not disciplined to say my affirmations, they're blaring at me. So I'm going to ask you, how many of you have your own personalized affirmation tape and listen to it? Good for you. Excellent. You've got to earn the right to lead every day. It is a privilege to be a director. And I want to close with this. I have bike-ridden down volcanoes. I have helicoptered over the waterfalls in Maui. I have whitewater rafted the rivers in Alaska. I have dined in castles where only heads of state and country have lived. I've been serenaded by the Vienna Boys Choir for dinner. I saw the changing of the guard. I went to Mass with the Queen of England. I walked the Colosseum where the Christians were martyred. I motor-scootered throughout the French Riviera. I was allowed to give my husband the freedom to leave his job and stay at home with me and raise our 3 children together. We built a 5,500 square foot home of our dreams, bought both of our girls' cars for their 16th birthday, and we are totally debt-free. I live the lifestyle at 40 years old with a high school degree that most people will work their entire life and never live. I have also been stood up more than a bad date. I have missed more goals than I've ever set. I've had people disappoint me, cheat me, lie to me, and then blame me for their failure. I have worked when I wanted to watch TV. I pressed on when I wanted to quit. I have realized that what people want and what people are willing to work for are 2 totally different things. I see that what I gave up paled in comparison to what I have gained, which reminds me of a story of a little girl about 6 years old named Abby. Abby was completely infatuated with her mother's jewelry, and she would sit and she'd open up that jewelry box and she'd stare at the treasures inside. One particular treasure always caught her eye, and that was her mother's pearl necklace. She asked her mother one day, could she wear the pearl necklace? And her mother said, oh no, Abby, but I'll help you earn your own. So Abby helped her mother with the dishes, and she picked up the garbage, and she cleaned up her room, and she finally earned enough, $5, to go buy herself her very own string of pearls. Abby was so proud of those pearls. They were actually glass balls with white paint on them, but she loved them nonetheless. She'd dance around in her room, and she'd look in the mirror, and she'd dream about those pearls and what her dress would look like that she would wear with those pearls. And one day, her father came in, and he said, Abby, I want you to do something for me. Oh, anything, Daddy. I'll do anything for you. And he said, Abby, I want your pearls. Oh, no, Daddy. Anything, not my pearls. Those pearls are mine. I worked for those pearls. No, Abby, I want your pearls. I'll give you my best dolly, Daddy. Don't take my pearls. No, Abby, I want the pearls. With big tears coming down her cheeks, she handed over her prized possession, the one she worked for, the one she longed for, the one she knew was the very best, only to find out that when she gave it all up, her daddy gave her a box, and when she opened it up, it was a beautiful string of the most incredible freshwater pearls that you've ever seen, on a beautiful gold clasp, the real deal. As he put them around her neck, he said, Abby, your daddy wants only the very best for you, but only until you give up what you thought was the best could I give you the real thing. You will come to crossroads through your career, ladies, that you'll feel convicted that your daddy wants you to give up something. And I'm here to tell you, through lots of trials, and some that when you stand on that stage tonight and know that I'm not being celebrated where I wanted to be celebrated, when I gave it up, what I got was the most incredible treasure that could not be taken away. It is your responsibility to be successful. 1 Corinthians 2:9 says, no eye has seen, nor ear has heard, nor mind can conceive the wonderful plans that God has for you. I have great expectations for you. Make this an incredible, lifelong start to the career and lifestyle of your dreams. God bless you.